don't want to admit it, part of being a man is, of course, being alone. You know, we exist for ourselves, and generally speaking, people don't give a shit about us unless we're doing something important. And the minute we stop doing something important, we're not important anymore.
And I saw this guy groveling to his girlfriend, begging her, asking her what he did wrong. And she had this snide, disgusting, arrogant look on her, refused to speak to him. And I just thought to myself, I am so tired of seeing that. And the fact of the matter is, whilst it's not a perfect analogy, please someone tell me how a man's addiction to a female is any different to a drug addiction. I'm quite serious. And so man's so-called interest in women really is nothing but a biochemical addiction. And it's reached the point where it brings nothing but self-destruction to the man. When you're a crack or a heroin addict, no one is encouraging you to continue the habit, as I mentioned before. They're not going to shame you if you try to quit. No one's going to say, oh, you just weren't strong enough to keep on smoking crack, were you? Oh, you didn't want to shoot up anymore? Oh, you're such a pussy. They're not going to say anything like that. Not so when you decide to kick your addiction to women. It definitely is an upwards battle, and you have social institutions very much against it. What's important and what distinguishes me and other men going their own way who realize these things, I should hope, is that we're aware of it at least, and we're doing what we can to combat it. I refuse to ever put myself in a position where I'm groveling at a woman's feet. They possess something that the vast majority of men idolize, and hence they use it as a weapon to full effect, be it in the social institutions of the government or on an interpersonal level through withholding sex. You withhold sex from a man, you punish him. You offer it to him, you manipulate him. That is the purpose of a woman's interest in men, essentially. It's to get him to do what she wants and to kowtow to her wishes. Should he not do that, he will be punished, either through depriving him of sex, possibly cheating, who knows, all sorts of different methods women will employ to punish a man. And it certainly seems to be the case. Honor is the province of men. We are much more inclined to honor our debts, be they financially or debts of friendship, the bonds of friendship. Women are creatures of duplicity. They are creatures that ride the wave. They are parasitic creatures. They have no sense of honor. They look at everything around them as a utility. Female creature is unaware of any concept of personhood, because everything is a utility to her. It's a utility to promote her interests, to move her ahead, to garner her advantages. We are essentially fighting a war. There's no question about that. These are all their crowning achievements. Their duplicity, their ability to manipulate their lies. They're better at it, so they're psychologically more sophisticated. Good for them. They can take their psychological sophistication and, twiddle their thumbs with it, and we can take our superior intellect and get the hell out of Dodge. That's my take on it. The fact is that we are the hosts and they are the parasites. The parasite needs the hosts. And the fact is that women, as a collective, would simply die off. The vast majority would not be able to continue their lives without men to lie to manipulate in order to garner resources. And as we stand alone in the desolate wilderness, there isn't a power to that knowledge, isn't there? Knowing the way things are, it's better. Knowledge is always better. Taking the red pill is always better than the blue pill. And as I said many times, once the veil has been peeled back, you can't go back anyway.
Governments, states, are in a state of panic because they require majority votes from the human female, And in order to get those votes, they need to give women what they want. They are the faceless alpha male. In order to continue giving them what they want, they need tax revenue, which will only be produced, or tax theft rather, which will only be garnered and gained if sufficient worker drones are in the working fields, which is no longer the case, or is decreasing, becoming less the case, because fewer and fewer women are having children, because through their hyperinflated hypergamy, they no longer can quote-unquote find suitable mates. See how that's working? I find it amusing to no end that the machinations of the government to appease political female hypergamy has basically put governments in a massive catch-22, and they're fucked either way they go. If they rescind the benefits, they're going to lose the votes, and they don't want that. If they keep the benefits in the long run, population will continue to decrease, fertility rates will continue to decrease, because it's only getting worse. More and more women are quote-unquote outperforming men, which is a very relative term, and that's what's going to happen. And of course, men slowly but surely are waking up to it all. Men know that they've been had. Some of them do. And they want to shame men. This is another version of the man-up argument. Call men whatever you want, but men are waking up, and men just don't care anymore. We don't care anymore if you call us man-boys, or we don't want to assume marital obligations, or this or that, because we only have obligations when it comes down to ourselves and to those we call our friends, or those individuals we care about. We don't have some sort of overarching cosmic obligation to take care of women or the family, and you can rant on about as much as you want, but that's only going to affect the unenlightened men. Most of us are well past that point. We don't fucking care. We don't care anymore. In fact, I want to see the whole thing come crashing down. I want to see it come crashing down, because that's what MGTOW is essentially about. It's about starving the system, and the system will implode by itself, because as you see, it's a form of parasitism. This relationship between the faceless alpha male state, the faceless man, and the common woman. Why is it parasitic? Because eventually the host will die. And I'd say the host in this case is the government, the state, and the woman is feeding off of its benefits, and the state in turn is also a parasite. I mean, there's actually only one host, it's the men, but the men are leaving. I mean, they've recognized what the parasite is, they've extracted it from their bodies in growing numbers. They're getting out of Dodge. The state is left by itself, and it still needs to give the other parasite, the women, what women want. But the list is endless, right? Entire educational school systems tailored to female needs. And it's that catering to women's needs that is leading to a decrease in population ultimately in Western countries, because women are no longer content with settling for the guy 1 or 2 or 3 steps above them. No, they want George Clooney. They want Brad Pitt. They want the best of the best. And every woman apparently is entitled to it. And this is not me complaining about it, I'm just observing this. And it's amusing, because the state will implode as a consequence of this, and women will be woken up to a very, very rude reality when it reaches the point that the state can no longer fund them through tax theft of men, lack of worker drones, brought about by women exercising inflated hypergamy, which itself was created by dint of the sexual revolution, second wave feminism, and all the goodies the government gave them. And more men are waking up, and the beautiful thing is that more and more men just don't give a shit. We don't give a shit what you tell us. We don't give a shit that you tell us that we're bitter, or we're man boys, or whatever. Whatever. We just don't care anymore. So the government, the state, the women, they can all rot away, and I want to see it all coming down. I'm not advocating violence, but in the spirit of Tyler Durden, without the violent aspect, I want to see the buildings come crashing down, because you reap what you sow. reap what you sow. And those who have paid so little attention to human biology and to women's choices to the point where they won't even talk about it at all, or in the sense that they do, to the extent that they do talk about it, mention only peripherally, they kind of deserve what they get. And that's where we're heading, worldwide. It's not just in the West. So this is amusing.